thought I would take a moment while the baby's napping and tell you a little bit more about the cases that I have covered over the past month or two. Myself and Mark take it in turns to tell the other about a story or a case that we found fascinating, and so we kind of alternate week on week of who's sharing the cases. So these are my episodes that I've covered recently. There are so many victims who we wish to honour and remember, so many lives lost, but so often we discuss the legacies left behind. We talk a lot about what the families left behind have done in the name of their loved one, and it's often truly inspiring. We are currently in season 15, and we have so many episodes you could go back and listen to, should you wish to. So, as I said, here are the episodes that I've brought to the show so far in season 15. We began the series with a two-parter, which saw us head to the Netherlands to discuss a murder which gripped the nation. When Anna Faber went missing during a cycle ride, a huge manhunt was begun, through Utrecht and beyond. And I was very grateful to a wonderful Patreon called Nana for her pronunciation support with this episode. Next, I talked about 15-year-old Naomi Smith, who left her home in Nuneaton in Warwickshire and never returned. And what followed was a case that would shock the community, expose uncomfortable truths, and leave lasting scars on a town that thought it was safe. Now, this episode was actually thanks to a listener who knew Naomi and wanted to ensure her name is never forgotten. Such an honour, always emotional, very grateful to be given the opportunity to do that for our listener. And they did actually get in touch with us afterwards to thank us for the episode. It was, as I said, emotional. Now, my next episode featured a woman who looked like she'd stepped straight out of a 1950s love story, but she left a trail of bodies behind her. Nanny Doss was charming, chatty, and deadly, and her victims weren't just the men that she married. Family members too found themselves in the path of her quiet, calculated cruelty. And I found researching her case really fascinating, the differences between life back then compared to now, and how much quicker she may have been stopped had the authorities had the tools at their disposal as our police do today. I next told Mark about a case where, so say, random poisonings were anything but. An innocent person died to cover up a far more personal murder, plus the Chicago Tylenol murders and the copycat killings that followed. And sometimes there's not quite enough information to do a whole episode about one case, but if I really want to cover that case, I just can't help myself. So I do like to add in some linked or some similar stories, and then I get to still bring that case, but for a full-length episode. And next, I brought a solo episode to the show. It's not usual, we don't often do solo episodes, but we had a lot of personal stuff going on, both myself and Mark. It was a lot at that time, so it just worked out easier for me to get my episode recorded on my own. But it is always a different thing for us to do a solo episode. And within that, I was untangling the disturbing and deeply tragic case of Constance Martin and Mark Gordon and their baby Victoria, one of the most unsettling and heartbreaking investigations in recent memory. We then went back to the 1980s and we headed to Texas to examine a brutal murder which led to a miscarriage of justice. In episode 11, we were discussing the investigation, the evidence, the conviction, and the extraordinary fight that would eventually expose devastating failures within the justice system. It was a story of loss, wrongful conviction, and a search for the truth that took decades. My most recent episode will be out on the 17th of June, and it's one of those cases where I just could not get the victim out of my head. I saw Bay's name in an email chain, looked into her story, and I just couldn't stop thinking about her. I just kept reading more and more articles about her, and then I couldn't not do a full episode. I know that you'll also be touched by Bay's case, so please do go and listen to that episode when it is released. I hope you found this video interesting. If you don't listen to our main show, Seeing Red, a true crime podcast, please do go and check us out on your podcast player of choice. Until next time, goodbye.